Our civilization wasn't always here. It had to be built from the ground up. In order for us to drink, men had to dig, scrape, and crawl through the ground in order to find water. In order to build cities and towns, someone had to rip open a mountain to find precious metals. In order to fuel our lights and engines, men had to tear open the earth itself and suck oil from the land beneath them. In 2007, one film told the story of one of these men. The film was There Will Be Blood, and it is one hell of a movie. Blood tells the dark and epic story of Daniel Plainview, a man who rises to power through the oil business. But the story of Daniel Plainview is also a story about the creation of modern America. It's a story that dares to say that American capitalism is destructive and that the search for individual wealth and power destroys lives, destroys lands, and ultimately destroys the soul. How does the film do all this? Well, just give me a few minutes of your time and let's go back and take a closer look at There Will Be Blood. Now, we can't separate this movie from Daniel Day-Lewis. His performance as Daniel Plainview is this movie. And Lewis plays this man as a sad and ruthless individual who will stop at nothing to get what he desires. But unlike similar films about a man's rise to power, this movie never glamorizes the acquisition of wealth or land. In fact, Daniel's rise to power comes at a very high cost. Specifically, whenever Daniel strikes it rich in this film, he loses something in return. Let's think about this. When Daniel first finds silver at the start of the movie, he does so only after breaking his leg. Later in the film, when Daniel finds his first oil well, his partner dies in an accident. When Plainview finally discovers his biggest oil well, his success is undercut by tragedy when his adopted son loses his hearing. So in There Will Be Blood, the more Daniel creates, the more that is destroyed. In the end, Daniel Plainview is a man who has gained the world but lost everything.
Were you hit in the head? Were you hit in the head? Tell me. Tell me if you were.
But Daniel doesn't come to power on his own. In order to secure an oil-rich land, he enters into an unholy alliance with a character named Eli Sunday, a manipulative and greedy pastor of a local church who hopes to profit for himself off Daniel's oil business. Now, Daniel despises Eli Sunday. That's perhaps because in Eli he sees something of himself. The two men are very much alike. While Daniel feeds off the land and promises the local community wealth, Eli feeds off the money of the community and promises them eternal salvation. So with both Eli and Daniel, we see how religion and capitalism work together to enslave the masses. In one last twist of irony, during their final confrontation, Eli refers to Daniel as his brother. So this twisted partnership between religion and business has given a lonely Daniel the brother he never had. One of the good things about There Will Be Blood are the different ways you can read this film. In fact, you could view it as a biblical epic in which both the devil and God are embodied in one man. We can see Daniel as godlike. When he arrives in the town of Little Boston, his effect is almost divine. Plainview is like a god, as he promises to turn this desert town into a thriving empire, giving all the townsfolk the luxuries they have prayed for. In fact, even one character goes on to say that Plainview was sent by God to save them. But we know that Daniel is a greedy and destructive man. For instance, in one scene, when an oil well becomes engulfed in flames, we see a close-up of Daniel's face, covered in oil, and silhouetted against a raging fire. Here, I think Daniel unmistakably resembles the devil as he looks upon the raging inferno before him. In another scene, the movie may be actually telling us that Daniel is the devil. Here we see a church service presided over by the manipulative Eli. In one unbroken shot, we see Eli making a show out of pulling a satanic spirit out of an old woman and then pushing Satan out of the church. Now, because of the film's camera angle, it looks almost like Eli is forcing the audience out of the church. Eli pushes and pushes this invisible spirit out of the church and eventually stops at the doorway. But as the scene cuts and Eli turns, it's not Satan we see in the doorway, but Daniel. Now, maybe there is no devil in the religious sense, but there is definitely an evil presence here, and it is Daniel. At the end of the film, when Daniel's at his lowest point and he has lost everything, he decides to claim his identity as a divine entity. He shouts and bellows that he is the third revelation.
I am the third revelation. I am the third revelation.
I think There Will Be Blood is a great film, one of the best films of the whole decade, in fact. And if you haven't seen it, it's really worth seeking out. Thanks for listening. Please post comments below, share this video, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.